Last Minute Blues Podcast with Donny, Alex, Jeremy, and Jeff Burton.
Hey all, it is the Last Minute Blues Podcast. I'm Donny Fandango, joining me in studio, Alex Ferrario from 101 ESPN, Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic. Gentlemen, what the heck's going on?
He stumbled. He was caught off guard by my handsomeness. Once again, I see him once a week, and he did get really caught off guard.
Dude, I stumbled right through it. All right, I have to start this off with something that I'm terrible at, and that is self-promotion. All right, I am the worst.
Shameless plugs.
I am the worst at self-promotion in the history of this whole entire genre of radio. But somehow, some way, I have got a gig on Friday night at Hot Shots on Lindbergh with the Blues. Louie's going to be out there. The Blue Crew is going to be out there. It is a holiday bash at the brand new Hot Shots, Lindbergh in South County. Friday night, 5:30 to 7:30. I'll be there, but I'm going to watch the game and to eat some food. So come on out and hang out.
I can. I actually think I'm semi-off. Hey, speaking of,
let's do it.
I'm going to come out there too. I got nothing going on.
Aren't you working?
No, not at all.
Not the pre and post game?
No, not at all. Not at all, Donnie.
What? Are you mad at me?
Yeah, I am, Donnie.
Why?
I'd like to be at Hot Shots doing that.
Yeah, samesies, man. And I'm bringing my my wife out. It's 5 minutes from the house. We might even have a couple drinks and Uber back and forth. I don't know.
I'm bringing my laptop, and I'm just going to broadcast from the table next to Donnie.
I would love that.
I'm just going to sit next to him, eat chicken wings, and do pre and post.
And he's got to sit there and think about, why didn't the station call me and ask me to do this event?
But in the station, ask if I can come. It's Hot Shots.
Dude, I can't say yes fast enough, and there's money involved.
Hot Shots,
you know how that is.
To home and money? Are you kidding me?
Dude, that's a win all the way around.
Absolutely.
Hey, speaking of Louie and the Blues, show the viewers these glasses. These are dynamite. Put these on.
Oh. These aren't even like the good ones.
You could pull that. Oh my goodness!
But like,
Donnie, you should be doing the entire podcast with those on.
The legend,
ladies and gentlemen, legend himself, Donnie Fandango.
Here's the damnedest thing. All right. So I had a listener that we have so much hockey that we have to talk about. But I had a listener forever ago. So I always lose my sunglasses, always. So I do not spend a lot of money on sunglasses. Therefore, that's why these are like free.
Tell.
All right. Oh, come on. All right, that's fine. But I did. I went in. I spent like $50 a few months ago. Bought a nice pair of sunglasses, and I have no the hell idea where those things are, man.
That's
like
how it works.
None. I don't know. They could be here. They could be underneath in my car. I got no idea.
Yeah.
I like how I'm not about self-promotion. I'm not about me. But look at these bright blue.
Look at these bad boys.
Sunglasses.
My neighbor once told me that he wouldn't help me because of the color of my sunglasses. I swear to God.
Really?
I was wearing red sunglasses, and he was not a fan of that, even in the slightest.
Not a big Cardinals fan, eh?
I guess I'm not a man because I wore red sunglasses, I suppose.
Understandably so.
Okay, guys, here we got a lot to talk about, including, first and foremost, the Blues have a new defenseman. His name is Cam Fowler.
What we're going to talk about is on a pink Post-it note.
He said we have a lot. It picked out his nose.
What's wrong with that?
I can't.
Nothing.
It's just what I had handy. In my bag, I have yellow, I have pink, and I have blue. This one worked better for me at that particular
I'm
time.
sorry, but I won't answer any questions that you have on pink Post-it notes.
You know what? You know what I like? That this podcast is now taking the turn to where it started. It was Jeff and Jamie giving me massive amounts of BS all of the time, and so it's taken a little while. It's taken a while, but boy, we have certainly morphed that thing back to where it started
Welcome
from.
back,
All
ladies
right,
and
what's the
gentlemen.
first question on that pink
I
Post-it note?
just want to know about Cam Fowler. Damn it. That's it. I want to know, what? Tell me about him. Why is he here? What's going on?
I have heard that he likes long walks on the beach. That's what I've been heard when he plays in
Spent
Anaheim.
14 years in Anaheim.
Yeah.
I hope you do.
There's a lot of long walks on the beach there.
Who doesn't, man? It's absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
But seriously,
Yeah.
Doug Armstrong even talked about it in the interview after the trade. You know, he essentially had said that the team is working hard. They deserved a reinforcement, and essentially you cannot be putting the minutes on your top guys as you were previously. So Fowler helps kind of distribute those minutes a little better,
Yeah,
right?
you can. When the trade was made, and I was like, okay, what am I going to write about here? I was thinking to myself, you know what? He's talking about these guys playing a lot of minutes, and I knew they did. But I thought to myself, I wonder where they rank in the NHL among defensemen. And I was like, okay, there's Parayko at 11. There's Falk at, I think, 21-22. There's Suter at 38. The Blues have 3 of the top 38 defensemen in terms of minutes being played by these guys. So I like the move. You know, some people look at it, Alex, and they say, well, this isn't a retool. You're going to block the space of a young guy trying to come. Sorry, that's my fan voice.
I was a little bit deeper, a little bit twangier, and you would have had it.
But It might be a small percentage of the fan base, but there's some people who said that. And my thing is, look, this guy's going to come in. He's a veteran. Look at him. He's making all these simple, good plays. Hey, in 2 weeks, are you going to be criticizing him for something he did? Sure, yeah, that's what happens. Defensemen make mistakes. But in the meantime, this guy's going to eat some minutes, and you don't know what's going on with Nick Leddy.
And here's my question to those Blues fans that were like, what are you trading him for? That was more in line with it, I would imagine. Let's go back to the offseason, and let's say instead of Ryan Suter, they traded for Cam Fowler. Would we be saying the same thing? What are you acquiring this guy for? Like, he's not blocking anybody. I thought Doug said it perfectly in that press conference to where it was like, look, Lindstein, Jiricek, I think he said the 2 guys that were just drafted in the second round, that Colin Ralph and Lucas Fisher, these guys aren't going to impact the club, maybe not even taste the NHL until 26-27. Guess what? The contract falls off of Cam Fowler at 26-27. So rather than continuing to throw out there Ryan Suter, who I got to imagine Ryan Suter when he was brought in didn't think I'd be playing 29 minutes a night with this team.
Which is crazy.
He'd be 40 years old and probably were like, hey, man, we'd love you to just come back and one more year of your career. Cool, I'd love to play 13 minutes a night. And then, boom, welcome to 30 a night. But, you don't have to keep throwing him out there. You don't keep throwing Scott Perunovich in your top 4 out there or P.O. Joseph in your top 4. You go out there, and every single night you've got Fowler, Parayko, Falk, and Broberg. 3 guys who have played over 700 games in the National Hockey League. It makes all the sense in the world. And the other thing that I've heard a lot, JR, from fans was, well, you're acquiring this guy. Well, now you can't lock up Broberg and Holloway. And no, once again, the contracts line up perfectly to where you have Broberg and Holloway. You could still re-sign them this offseason, but that salary cap doesn't affect you until Fowler's contract comes off the books. So once again, this is just one of those placeholders to get you through the development process with all those young defensemen.
And one other thing is they said that they traded the second-round pick for a 4th-round pick. So the Blues are sending a second to Anaheim. They get a 4th-round pick. So people are saying, yeah, but you're giving up draft capital, second-round pick. Here's the thing. Either Fowler's going to help you make the playoffs, and you're going to reach your goal of making the playoffs. And if he doesn't, if at the trade deadline you're not in playoff reach, then you're going to trade, whether it be Foxa or Saad or whomever, to get draft picks back. So that's the way Doug's looking at it.
And it was also a 2027 draft pick. Like, if we're talking about a second-round draft pick 3 years from now, something went mightily wrong with this retool for the team. So everything about this trade made sense, and I'm glad Doug pulled it off because it's how you keep this team a little bit more competitive.
I mean, to me, it seems like a win-win all the way around. I mean, I feel like you don't give up. I mean, I understand that that's a second-rounder, as you were saying, but, I mean, you're getting a guy that's going to play 20 friggin' minutes every night for the remainder of the year and next year on top of that.
Yeah, the only way it doesn't work out is if Fowler falls off the face of the earth here and you get to a point, and probably we won't even be able to recognize this at the time because you don't know the conversations behind the scenes. But if Doug has a deal where he could unload this defenseman's contract or he could do this if he had that second-round pick, that's the only way this is going to materialize into a situation that doesn't help the Blues.
Yeah, well, and where this team is at, and again, going back to that press conference that Doug had, I thought he said it so well. Where this team is at is it's necessary to get the feel of wins right now. Like, you've got the head coach who can coach these guys up. You've got the players in place. You're waiting on some of the younger guys. What you can't have happen to you is have a team that you believe can be competitive and then keep losing, because then losing seeps into the locker room. Joey says this all the time. He lived it in Arizona. He's like, look, when losing gets into your organization, it stinks, and you can't get that stink out for a long time. And so what you're trying to avoid are these games to where it's 3-2 and you're down by a goal and you don't have the ability to come back and you give up 3 empty net goals. You want a guy who can keep you competitive in a hockey game, and rather than throwing a Perunovich out there or a P.O. Joseph out there, you throw a guy who's played 991 games in the NHL who can help you close down a hockey game.
What's going on with Brandon Saad? Obviously seeing a guy like that get a healthy scratch is, I don't know. It's very surprising to me because Brandon Saad, to me, is sort of the steady Eddie, you know what you get, you know what you're going to get every night out of him sort of player. But I assume that this is going to be leading towards Brandon Saad getting traded at the deadline or even sooner if they can find a dance partner, right?
Yeah, it sure seems like it. Brandon Saad has been a good player in this league for a long time, so you have to give him credit. It's a hard league. He's been successful. He's won a couple Stanley Cups. The one thing is, the last several years, and maybe even before that, before his time here in St. Louis, even when he puts in 22, 25 goals a year, there are still long stretches during the season where you just don't notice him. And I think that's what they want to fix. They want him to, as Jim Montgomery said a couple nights ago, just get to those scoring areas. And, what have they played? 30 games this year?
Yeah.
He's scored in 2 of them. Now, granted, he had 2 goals in each one, so he's got 4 goals, but he scored in 2 out of the 30 games. And, they just can't have that. And if they see that, they can't have these young players watching that.
Right.
They can't see a coach continue to play a guy who's not performing, and these young guys are like, hey, what's going on? I'm sitting out, this guy's in, type thing. So, they got to get him going, and they've tried, and if they can't, then they're going to have to look to move him. But, Alex, I keep using that phrase, catch-22. I mean, if he's not doing it for you, who else around the league wants him?
Right.
I talked to a couple scouts the other night who said, yeah, I don't know that he could help a contender. So, are the Blues willing to give up a pick or retain salary to move a Brandon Saad? I don't know that they're looking to do that.
Well, and Elliot Friedman had said on the 32 Thoughts podcast, he's like, look, this guy's been on the trade block since the offseason. So this is not like all of a sudden he's available via trade. I would imagine it sounds like that this is something that the Blues have at least been looking around for some time. The thing about Brandon Saad is he more beneficial just as a salary dump for you right now, or is he more beneficial to have as just a placeholder? And I totally understand, he is not producing for. I mean, he's playing on the 4th line last night. That tells you where he's at right now. But you're not going to, I think in fantasy world, there's a lot of people out there that think you could just trade Brandon Saad to Boston for Trent Frederick, and both sides would say, absolutely, let's do it. That's not going to happen. You've got to be performing to go out there and bring something back in return. So you're just going to get rid of Brandon Saad, because I don't think you're getting a 2nd or a 3rd round draft pick back. And at least from past history, Doug Armstrong's not just shipping guys out to ship guys out. You're hoping to get something back in return. So it has not looked good for Brandon Saad, but I don't understand this whole premise of just get rid of him as fast as you can, because Dvorsky's not coming up right now. Snuggerud's not coming here. Stenberg's not coming here. Once again, it's a placeholder. And, Jerry, you say this all the time. Sometimes you got to just take a step back and say, where are the Blues at in their retool? And this is where they're at. Last night I thought was a perfect example. Empty net, trying to get back into the hockey game. Thomas Kyrou, Shem Buchnevich just went out there and had one hell of a shift to try and get it back. Didn't happen. Got them off the ice. You had Sundqvist, Saad, Bolduc, Holloway, and then I forget who the defenseman was on the ice. And you couldn't regain control of the puck. But that's where the team is at. You have a couple of guys that are on there that you're like, okay, we don't have our young players, so these are the guys that we have out there, and we need them to perform. So do you ship out Saad and just throw Texier in the lineup on a nightly basis? I don't know if that helps this team or if this hurts this team
That's
even
more.
more.
That's a good point. Yeah, real good point.
So, when it comes to Brandon Saad, what is a realistic get for that guy? I guess it depends on how much salary you retain, if you retain any, and then if you don't, which is what you're hoping for, then you're probably just going to get a late round pick, right?
I would think so. I mean, I talked to the 2 scouts, and they said, are you retaining salary in a situation like that? So there is not somebody out there who thinks that, hey, let's go give up a 2nd round pick for Brandon Saad. Now, to Alex's point, combining what you're asking here is, yeah, he's a placeholder. You can have him out there now, and that way you're keeping Texier in the press box as a healthy scratch. And then perhaps as we get closer to the deadline, after you're able to keep Saad in the lineup for the next several weeks, month, you get to a situation where maybe he's playing better, and maybe a team does think that he could be a 3rd or 4th line guy for them, and then maybe you do get a 3rd round pick. So I think that's kind of where you're what you're looking at.
Well, and the other thing, to Donnie's question of retaining salary, just a personal feel these days, I don't know if the Blues are going to be in any position to retain any more salary for contracts that they ship out. Because think about it. Now you've brought in Fowler on this contract. You bring in Broberg and Holloway, but you also still have the LTIR situation with Torrey Krug, which my assumption is you don't see him again, but you never know. And then there's also Nick Leddy. So, you're still over the cap when it comes to that LTIR. So I don't know if you're making trades, you're going to be retaining salary unless you're getting something in return that you just can't pass up.
Right. All right. So
what else you got on that post?
Yeah, what's next?
A couple things here. Why am I, anytime that I see that a St. Louis guy is potentially on a trade block, I just want the Blues to get him. And this has got to be an unhealthy fascination that I got to stop. But boy, Trent Frederick wearing the blue note.
True
Would
or
be
false?
pretty awesome.
When you saw his name, you sang the Frederick Roofing jingle in your head.
For a hole in your
Roofing.
roof,
Oh,
for a
man.
whole new
God,
roof.
look at you two.
Dude, I mean, like,
Frederick Roofing.
call 645-2000. Listen, all I did when I was a kid was listen to ball games on KMOX. So, like, that stuff just completely stuck.
Touche.
But I mean, guys, just for the sake of the conversation, does it fit? Is that a realistic possibility for our Blues? Could there be conversations going on right now between Boston and St. Louis, or is this really just a fever dream for us Blues fans?
JR, take a seat back. I'll be the insider
All
on
right,
this one
let's
if
do
you're
it.
all right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know you got the
Boy,
article.
he
on
said
the
that
headline.
very seriously, too.
No, I'm going to let the insider take that one. I'll let the I'm going to let the insider take that one, not yours truly.
Don't sit in that chair. You will hurt yourself.
Yeah.
That chair was like, you got to be kidding me.
That chair said no thank you. I mean, I'll just go off of like where the Fitz perspective, because I'll leave the insight to the insider. The player that is Trent Frederick is what every single Blues fan I would imagine wants, right? Like the work boots type, goes out there, it's a little pissed off attitude, can play physical. Like that's the guy. But when I look at this roster and like I project forward and look at it with a Dvorsky, with a Snuggerud, you've got a lot of guys in the middle six. Like you've got, and I'm just going under the assumption that Jordan Kyrou is still considered a top-line player. You've got Neighbors and Holloway and Snuggerud and Dvorsky and Bolduc, and I think I'm missing somebody right now. But you got the centerman with Braden Shen. There's a lot in the middle six. Mm-hmm. If you bring in a Trent Frederick, is he just another one in the middle six? Because now you're pushing guys down to the fourth line, and now you're talking about a Toropchenko. You're talking about a Nathan Walker. I personally have liked Radek Fox's game. So if you bring in a Trent Frederick, do you say, okay, he's going to be in one of those spots that we believe the middle sixes are, but we don't know where he's going to be future? Because Doug has made it very clear that they don't want to bring in anybody who clogs a spot for a guy that's coming in.
Yeah.
So you bring in a Trent Frederick, put him in a third-line centerman role. That's great. But then where does Shen go? To the wing? Awesome. Now where does Bolduc and Holloway and Neighbors and Snuggerud and Dvorsky go? So I love Trent Frederick as a player, and I think this Blues team needs those types of players. Yeah. But who's the odd man out when you bring that guy in?
All right, now to the insider. Insider.
Insight.
I hate the term insider. I do. I'm outside the building. I don't know what's going on. I'm an outsider.
Thanks for the heads up. Have we introduced you as our Blues insider
13
every
years.
hit?
Been leading us down the wrong path for a
Damn
long
it,
time, JR.
This, you know what, Alex, looks at this situation the correct way. They do have a lot of bodies in that middle six. The only thing is, you look at this roster. Do you like Matthew Joseph's future with the Blues? I don't know. Do you like Texier's future with the Blues? I don't know. Foxa, I love Foxa. I think he's played well, but he really doesn't fit this age grouping, and he's an unrestricted free agent after this year. He could be gone. So you have to plan, like the possibility is that he could be gone. Also, Braden Shen moving forward, probably a third-line guy. Maybe he's third-line center next year. So to me, I look at it like The Athletic the other day said, pick one player that your team could trade for and make a case for it. And I looked at it and I was like, well, they need scoring, but they've got Snuggerud coming, they've got Dvorsky coming, they got Kyrou, put Thomas. I'm going to pick, people are going to think I'm crazy, no Mitch Marner. I'm going to pick Trent Frederick.
Insider,
outsider. I think it's a situation where they could use his toughness, and then also look at his stat page. Not this year, but the two previous, 18 goals, 20-something goals.
Yeah.
And guess who he did it under? He did it under Jim Montgomery. And I messaged the Boston writer, Fluto, and I said, hey, they get along. They have a good – oh, yeah, he loved them. They loved each other. And yeah, it wasn't happening for Trent this year, and part of the reason Fluto thought was that, he's got a contract situation, Trent does, so maybe that weighs into a little bit of anxiety. But I think he can bring him some toughness. I think that maybe Monty can help him find his offense, and I think that he fits that age group that he could be a third, and maybe down the road he's a fourth line player. I don't know, but I think he can be a good third line player for this team.
I got to just stop getting drunk every time that somebody says St. Louis is a potentially on the trade block or is a free agent.
So
it's
your
like
perfect team would be Brady, Matthew, Trent. Dude, who else you got?
Luke Cunnin.
Luke Cunnin.
Joseph Wool.
The kid in Utah.
Clayton Keller.
Baby, that friggin' guy is friggin' fantastic.
Man, how much drinking are you doing?
They
over
also
there?
lowest team.
But also, too, and I don't mean to be, like, ridiculous about this, but it just gives me so much freaking pride. Like, even though they're not Blues players, like, still the fact that they came out of this city, man, that's awesome. Like, I will, kind of always, root for them. Real quick, what is the name of that jackass on the Devils last night that kept friggin' goddamn running his goddamn mouth and had the goddamn opportunity to drop the gloves? It was Shane. First of all, somebody needs to have a talk with that young man about that facial hair. That facial hair is awful. He looks like a friggin' idiot.
Oh, I thought he looked like an artist. I thought it looked like one of those little Pablo Picasso things where you got that and you got the little line down the middle.
I would like to see somebody rearrange his entire face.
Well,
I would love that.
Shen tried to pull him out of the scrum multiple times.
And then the guy who won't fight is still there yapping.
Yeah. After the game, Pavel Buchnevich was one of the players that we interviewed, so he's standing there. We got 8 of us around him, and towards the end of asking him a few questions, I wanted to ask about, hey, so you send in a Christmas card to Siegenthaler. I was like, this is going to get misinterpreted. He's going to throw it back at me. And I was like, you know what? We're not going to ask that.
I really wish you would have, though, because, man, a Booch comment on that would have been phenomenal.
What do you mean Christmas card?
I don't send Christmas card.
I also, too, and I know I've said this to you guys before, but I listened to Colton Parayko after the game last night, and that guy's post-games are amazing. It does not matter if they win 6-1 or lose 6-0. He sounds the exact same way. We did everything that we could. Like, just the way that he is friggin' cracks me up. He genuinely seems like the nicest man on the planet, even when he's pissed off.
I say it with all due respect, but he does, a great job with the voice there. I say this with respect to Colton Parayko. Like, on that second goal, I say, hey, just what kind of happened there? Well, my stick was stuck and couldn't really get my stick out. And, I tried to get it out and I couldn't. I couldn't get over there, and they scored the goal. And
it's like the pattern of it all.
He should have been a goaltender for how even keel that guy is.
Yeah.
For how even, straightforward Colton Parayko is. Like, man, he should have been a goalie.
I will never forget, and then we got to wrap this up because we got to roll. But I will never forget in having Colton Parayko in here for the Radiothon last year. And at the very end, when he's getting ready to leave, we're all kind of talking. He's like, hey, can I help out next year? But as genuinely and as man,
Yep. Donny looked at him and said, I'd like a different blue if that's all right next year.
I can't do that.
I don't think that I could have said yes fast enough. Yes, absolutely.
Donnie, it was tough. There was a couple years ago. Remember when he was, he had the back issue. He wasn't playing great.
Yeah.
I'll never forget this when, you're writing a couple things like, hey, he didn't play great, type thing. And somebody came up and said, his grandpa passed away. And I'm sitting there going, oh, my goodness.
Geez.
Then a couple weeks later, it's like, well, he had another tough game. And somebody goes, yeah, you know what? He's so great. Our kid goes to the Ronald McDonald House, and he comes every Monday. And he was supposed to stop coming a long time ago, but he keeps coming. And I'm like, oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to keep writing.
I'm melting.
But
delete.
But you know what? That dude has redeemed himself and then some.
Yeah.
And then some. And remember when people were complaining when he signed the big, long extension?
Yep.
And what is he making? $6.5 million now?
$6.5 million.
What a
So what'd you
friggin'
say?
steal.
He was 11th in time on ice?
11th.
Yeah.
Dude, that's incredible.
That's what I got called a Colton Parayko honkin' because it's like all I kept doing was talking about how well he is and like this is an off season. You don't find a 6'6" defenseman that can skate as fast as Connor McDavid on the ice. You don't find that guy, and he's $6.5 million.
And also, too, real quick on our way out, Jordan Kyrou. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, baby.
I mean, I think the Rangers game shows you exactly the changes he's made with his game to be able to skate with Ryan Lindgren, force him to turn that puck over, and then take it and go in with it.
What an amazing play.
Yeah. Everything about his game, I mean, he has – for the people that talk poorly about Jordan Kyrou when he's not engaged, you have to give him credit when he's doing this season because every single night he's always engaged with the puck.
Goals in 5 straight games. He's got a point in 12 straight home games. And if you go to the comment section of any talk board right now, you will see his longtime critics giving him credit for his play away from the puck.
Insider.
That's good. Good. As long as you are being fair about it, that's all that I ask from the folks.
If you're going to talk poorly about the player when he's bad, you got to give him credit when he's playing well.
Absolutely so. For my absolute friggin' homies, Alex Ferrario from 101 ESPN, Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic, our homeboy Jeff Burton, who we miss a lot. I'm Donny Fandango. This is the Last Minute Blues podcast. Thank you for listening. And as always, let's go Blues.
The Last Minute Blues podcast. Hear more at 1057thepoint.com.